Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City. Big shout out to DJ City. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We have DJ Never here.
Yo, what up, y'all?
We have D Miles here.
What's good, what's good?
We have Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
And we got some special guests over here spread out throughout the whole country. We got Cali, Vegas, and South Africa in the building. We have DJ MoMA, DJ Ross One, and Spider Tech. What's good, fellas?
What's good?
Yo,
What's good, man? What's good?
What up, man? And yo, thanks so much for joining us on this episode. I wanted to talk about what's going on, everything that's going on. MoMA, you're in South Africa right now. I know you're planning to come back to the States. You know, I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah. When are you coming back to the States? And honestly, I wanted to ask you, how is it witnessing everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter? How how the country is just reacting to everything, and how all these other continents are reacting to everything. How does it feel to be not in the U.S. and witnessing all of this from afar?
Well, I kind of had I had cut out because I wanted to get away from COVID.
Yeah.
And, and I just thought I did the right thing. Mm-hmm. I'm in a country that has maybe 30,000 cases at the most and has much more strict COVID rules and regulations than the U.S. But I missed out on the uprising of a lifetime. I feel like an idiot, and I kind of feel guilty that I'm not out there supporting my people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I expressed that to a few people, but they said, bro, don't feel guilty because you're out there pushing the cause 24/7 anyway. So that kind of brought a tear to my eye, but I was like, it's a beautiful thing to watch from here. And it's also beautiful to see the impact, all over the world. You can say that the dominant culture on this planet, outside of white imperialism, is Black American culture. Mm-hmm. It's the dominant culture of the world. Hip hop is the one universal language. We just all watched this Last Dance documentary. Michael Jordan, most famous athlete in the world.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. And I think for the first time, the whole world, including the African diaspora, which has tended to kind of look down on African American people, has kind of followed the lead of African Americans and all the allies, who came to the forefront with this protest, which, let's be real, it's not a protest, it's not a riot, it's an uprising, but they will never use that word because that word is usually reserved for, dictatorial, authoritarian regimes, etc. And no one would ever qualify America as such. But the fact of the matter, it's not about the leader, even though right now we do have that kind of leader. It's about the system in place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing to witness, man. And hopefully I can get back in the next week or two.
What do you call it? Ross One, I know you've been going to some protests, right?
Yeah, we've gone to a few in California. We went to Santa Monica, and we went to both the ones in Hollywood this weekend.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, the one this weekend was crazy. They had 20,000 people in Hollywood, right?
Madness. Crazy.
It was insane.
I live probably, I don't know, maybe about a mile from where it was popping off, and around me it was just mayhem. People just trying to find parking, people on the streets.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey, and Spider, you're in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the protests here haven't been as, it hasn't been as, prominent as the other cities over here.
They just haven't been reporting on it.
They haven't, right?
Nah, not at all. There's been some going down in downtown Vegas on the Strip as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of shit going down over here. Actually, my wife just is a part of some group that that does the planning, and they found out that they're doing some Blue Lives Matter shit in response to everything that's been happening.
Oh,
over
really?
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen this weekend. So
that's nuts. That could get actually pretty ugly.
That could get ugly, yeah, for sure.
Wait, what is that? What is Blue Lives Matter?
Blue Lives is basically cops. So the blue line, but it's the blue lives. So they're trying to say the cops' lives matter as much as whatever's going on right now.
Yeah, they're trying to compare Black lives to occupational hazards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the media has been keeping it quiet, basically to not interrupt tourism because Vegas has been reopened in the past. Yeah.
They're trying not to. I guess put it out on the news. I guess for tourism, but I think it's honestly, because a lot of the residents here in Vegas have a lot of racism, a lot of internal racism as far as minority groups out here, but there is a lot of racism that goes, they don't really talk about that here.
Yeah.
You're in the EDM world. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not in the EDM world.
Nobody else.
None of us.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I don't know what's going on, but I've been seeing on Twitter that everyone's really kind of pissed off that no one in the EDM world has not been, they haven't been saying anything. I don't know who's supposed to say anything. I don't know what they're supposed to do. I don't know what's going on. Can you explain a little bit of what's going on? I know Diplo released a country album in the midst of
Of all of this.
in the midst of the height of Black Lives Matter protests hitting the weekend. And I actually wanted to talk a little bit about that, just because we all kind of we all have an association with Diplo. I like to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe the release and the rollout for this album, I don't know how difficult it is to push back a release, to stop the marketing machine from going when it's ready to go. But a lot of people thought it was inappropriate for Diplo to release a country album, on the same weekend of the BLM protests.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I'll say this, okay? Because, while I understand the politics of how label rollouts work, there's the other side of the coin that a friend of mine, his label, they had everything ready for one of the tracks that was going to come out. They're going to do all the promo, they're going to do all the rollout shit that they do when it comes to that. But when all this stuff happened, my friend made a decision to say, we're not going to promote this right now. We know it's out, but right now there's something bigger going on than our label release happening. So I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to do this or that. And I respect him for that,
Yeah.
I really do respect him for that, because it takes a big person to realize the gravity of what's happening. Yeah. Especially because he's not a minority. He's not Black. So, that shows solidarity with what my people are trying to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Or trying to bring attention to. I mean, we've been doing this shit for fucking years, so it's not like this is something brand new.
Yeah.
But that shows a lot what he understands the weight of it. Then you have someone like Diplo, that's tone deaf. To be honest, is tone deaf as fuck.
Yeah.
Like he has enough money. He has enough backing to where he didn't have to do any of that shit.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. I mean, I would say, I mean, I don't know, man.
Was it coming out of his label, Mad Decent?
Or
was it like a major?
I think it was coming out through one of his deals with Sony or some shit like that. But still, leave it up to the label to do that if that's the point. If that's what you have going. But for me myself, man, I'm not gonna sit here and promote my shit. I have something that's supposed to come out later this month and shit. Like, you think I put out any promo for it? Fuck no.
Right.
This is not the time for it.
Right. Ross, Mo, you guys want to add anything? How do you guys feel about that?
Listen, I don't know the exact timing of when it dropped. I always play, devil's advocate, or in this instance, Diplo's advocate. Maybe it dropped at a time when George Floyd was, and don't take this the wrong way, maybe people just thought he was going to be another hashtag, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when the album dropped, before people realized that this was going to be the largest civil rights movement of all time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 states, 20 to 30 countries. There's never been anything like it.
Yeah.
And then maybe once you realize the magnitude of that, you might have to dial it back. I think in his defense, I don't know if he promoted the album after the day it dropped, right? Like he's not on Jimmy Fallon or whatever.
Right.
Not that they're doing that shit right now. So again, I don't know Diplo. I don't know the ins and outs of how all this shit happened.
Right.
But I do know that prior to George Floyd, Ahmaud and Breonna, it was numerous hashtags and remain hashtags. But This time it was different, and I think we all know why it was different. You know,
Yeah.
the pandemic, it meant that nobody had shit else to do. You know what I'm saying? Nobody had to go to work. Nobody had to worry about being fired. Nobody had no
Right,
NBA
exactly.
finals
No
distraction
sports.
on TV. You know, and not to get like too deep or too philosophical, but you know, fuck it, we got the time.
Yeah.
I don't think American people in America have ever been inconvenienced, right?
Exactly.
Like we've been at war in other countries
Yeah.
for issues of imperialism that had nothing to do with our freedom or anything else. I think the biggest inconvenience that we suffered in this country recently was 9/11, which was a tragedy. But the inconvenience that came from that was that we had to take our shoes off at the airport.
Right.
And we had to take our laptops out of our bags. And we complained about that shit.
Yeah.
To this day, right?
To this
So that's
day.
the level of, you know, being spoiled that American people have. And I
Yeah.
think for the first time, American people felt like the way oppressed people feel
Yeah.
around the world, which is also the same way that black people feel in America,
Right.
you know? And it just came together. It was just beautiful. People had the time. They finally understood how we feel. And of course, the spark was that shocking video
Yeah.
that everybody watched, you know?
Yeah.
It was just the lack of humanity in it. How could you not understand
Yeah.
what we go through? So I think all these things, you know, came together, and that's why these deaths were more than hashtags, and that's why we're in the midst of the movement of a lifetime. And you know, maybe that's why that country album dropped on that day. You know, because we didn't know, nobody knew. You know,
The album dropped May 29th, Friday, and the riot started that Saturday, Sunday.
Was
that
that
weekend?
Yeah.
was that Memorial Weekend?
No, that was a weekend after
Week
that.
after, okay.
And it was under Columbia.
So he did know what was going on.
It
Yeah.
was just the beginning of it.
brewing.
though.
Yeah, it was
right.
just the
It was
beginning,
right,
but
you know?
because
Now there was a bunch of stuff happening online, like to where, you know, it wasn't going unnoticed. It was like if you were looking at what was happening on Facebook, on Twitter, on
Yeah.
Instagram, a lot of that stuff you couldn't ignore it. Like you know, it was to the point to where it was like, yo, shit's really going down.
Yeah. And then to what you were saying, MoMA, like I was actually going to ask you guys, you know, in this global pandemic, you know, there's no sports, there's no concerts, no vacations. The world is forced to sit down and actually watch what's really happening to black people in America, right? With like zero distractions, you
Yeah.
know? It's almost like divine intervention, if anything, that's happening that this was able to happen right now. And what we're also witnessing is we're also seeing all of these white protesters. We're actually seeing for the first time like white people getting fucked up by the police.
Yeah.
And it's just, I've never seen white people get fucked up like this, like on this level with the police.
Same.
Like I've never seen them just get like with blood dripping out of their ears, kind of shit, like getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
In Buffalo,
That needed to.
yeah,
Unfortunately, that needed to happen so people understand the gravity of the situation.
exactly.
You know, like we're literally fighting for human rights and they're getting their ass kicked. Like we've been getting our ass kicked forever for it. But now because, you know, you have Latinos standing with us, you have white people standing with us, and they're getting their ass handed to them by the actual police that these people in their safe spaces are saying that, well, if you do what the police tell you to do, then, you know, none of this will happen. But they're literally protesting peacefully, and they're still getting their ass kicked and getting, you know,
They're getting shot
damaged
at,
and, you know,
the
shot
pellets,
at. You know, they're getting like crazy wounds from supposed non-lethal weapons and shit like that. And, you know, it's sad to say that shit like that had to happen for people to understand there's something unbelievable and there's something terrible that's just happening to people.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a tweet that I saw where a guy was a black man was asking his father, when did you know it would really change, like the civil rights movement? When did you think you guys would see change? And he said when they killed Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner in '64. And he said why? And his dad said they thought they could kill white folks like they did black folks. No sir, no sir. That was their biggest mistake. You can't do that. Police messed up, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think that resonated with me a lot because for the first time we're actually witnessing white people get knocked the fuck out and just like white women too. Like like we've never seen white women get fucked up by police like that. Like broken heads,
one of
fucked up.
A white woman died because she had asthma and the tear gas went into her lungs. And
I saw that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they're trying to file suits and all that stuff right now.
And then I was wondering, there was an article I saw, or there was something I saw on Twitter. Is there a fear of the BLM movement being gentrified? Like, will the BLM message get watered down by non-black people as the number of non-black supporters grow?
There's something happening like that already. I have some friends out there in Denver, and they've been protesting like crazy. And, there's been a movement happening there for years, and those people have been taking it to the protests, like all week, every day, like since this whole thing happened. And there's this other movement, I guess, and it's headed up by a white guy with dreads or whatever. But supposedly he's been trying to do things to take away the voices of black people that are speaking up about it. And I guess, I don't know, I've been reading up about it a lot, and I've been talking to a lot of my friends out there, and I don't know, they think it's lining up with the law enforcement possibly over there. So I don't know if they're trying to do something to where they take over the movement and somehow.
What is the etiquette right now? Because at this point, I'm following the lead of black people, right? I'm following you guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's all we ask is just listen.
Yeah.
Like that person running that movement. It's like if black people that headed this movement before you even got here, if they're asking you to do this and they're asking you, talk to us about this. Like we need to really come together and talk about it. Listen to us. That's all. We just need to be heard. Like it's that goes without saying. No one's going to try to, I don't know, move forward with any minority problems concerning Asians and not listen to an Asian, about that. Nobody's going to be like a black person's not going to take over the Asian movement and be like, no, I don't care about what they have to say. I know what's best. You know what I mean? No one knows a plight like the person going through the shit.
So on our last episode, we spoke about what was going on, and I was really kind of troubled and concerned, and I hit up Mo and I hit up a few other people. 11, I spoke with 11. Shout out to DJ 11. I spoke with a few people about where do we go from here? What are the steps to, past the protests? Where do we start seeing real change? Momo, we spoke about that. Ross, I kind of want to get your opinion on what do you think is the next step. We hear about defunding the police, disbanding the police. I mean, what do you think is the next step?
I mean, well, the first thing that's been happening that's been really good is I see a lot of white people just really taking this seriously and being really introspective and thinking about their own lives, their own businesses, and where black people are, the lack of black people in their business and in their lives, and how kind of
disconnected.
Just I mean, it's the kind of thing where it is systemic, and you don't even realize it,
right?
For so many people. And when you get back to talking about these people promoting themselves, self-promotion, there's been a decision that's been made. And that's a huge change from movements in the past. You don't see brands advertising themselves anymore.
Right.
People are not self-promoting. It's out the window. That all feels trivial right now. It feels unimportant.
Right.
It's something that previously, even Eric Garner, the footage is nearly as brutal.
Right.
I mean, that is really difficult to watch, and you can't validate it. There's nothing. It was awful. But for this, just something has changed, and I think a lot of white people are being forced to take a hard look at themselves and their families and their friends. And I see people cutting people out, cutting people off. Really having frank, serious conversations with good friends.
Yeah,
they would have never had this conversation a long time ago.
No.
As far as
I'm sorry, Ross. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just going to say, as far as the next steps, I share a little bit of that confusion as to what should happen. And I think there is a bit of a lack of a of leadership in terms of a singular voice.
Yes.
Saying defund the police is something you can say, but the reality is it's going to take legislation on a local and a federal level. And you have to come up with, right now, we have the power. Black people have the power. The movement, Black Lives Matter, has the power. And government and corporations, even more importantly, are willing to bend to our demands, Black people's demands.
Yeah.
Like this has never happened in my lifetime, nothing even close.
Right.
To where you can basically say, I need you to do this. I demand this. And they're going to do it, or they're going to take major steps towards doing it. Nothing like that's ever happened. So I think it's all about being focused, having a plan, being able to clearly say what you want and what you need. And it's tough because I do think it's unfair that Black people have to constantly tell white people what to do and how to act, how to be a decent person. Yeah. But unfortunately, right now, I do think it's an important time for the leaders of these movements to come together, real legislation, real ideas, present them in a clear way and say, we're not going to stop until we get this. And I think you're going to get a lot of what you're asking for. Whether or not that leads to real long-term change is going to be all about continuing the pressure. But people they got their backs against the wall, man. You can tell a corporation, you can go to Pepsi right now and be like, your board needs to be 30% Black and we're not supporting you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to release a statement, which when does that ever happen?
Yeah.
You know, they're going to have to show you that they're willing to do it. So shame is
this is next level. Yeah, this is next level. You're talking about shame. I think this is the first time that like morality and compassion has become part of like American society as a whole, you know?
Right.
We tend to think of those, you know, those attributes of like European countries, and then make no mistake, those countries are fucked up too, right?
Yeah.
But they give their citizens health care, education, maternity leave, you know, and those are some of the principles that are missing in American society. And if we can get to this point, like all the changes in American history that were to the benefit of Black people have been through the passing of laws, you know, abolish slavery, emancipation, Rosa Parks, you know, voting rights, so on and so forth. It's been like a few elected officials who are forced to face like these human questions, and they have to be like, guys, we have to give Black people equal rights. So they put it in the law. But when it comes to actually playing out in society, that's where morality comes in. And that's why you have the Ku Klux Klan. That's why you have police killing Black people with impunity for, you know, hundreds of years. But this is the first time that there's just this moral awakening where everyone, and I think a lot of it is led by Gen Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons that I can't explain, a lot of it is led by Gen Z. And it's very important that white people are a part of this movement, because that's how we're going to get the numbers, you know? Like, we're still a minority. You know, as fucked up as apartheid and all that was in South Africa, the country was 95% Black. So when they rose, it was 95% of them. You know what I'm saying? And they steamrolled the white people, the oppressor.
Don't you
Brazil
think,
is waiting to happen. 100 million Black people out of 200 million people. You know, that place they got the numbers, and it's just as fucked up as the United States, maybe more. So, but in the United States, we need white people, you know, we need them as allies. And me personally, I want Black Lives Matter to become a mainstream movement, you know, let everybody be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult to argue against it. Like if you come back to Black Lives Matter as all lives matter or blue lives matter, you definitely don't have a moral compass. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So therefore, we need to have as many people as possible in this movement. But to Spider Tech's point, we don't want like white people diluting the message. But we definitely need everybody in the game with us.
Exactly.
You were speaking about Gen Z leading, you know, the protests and leading this movement. Is it because we've been conditioned to accept some of the discrimination that we've seen in the world and that affect us and we experience in our lives? You know, I was talking to Neva about this, even like some of the things that we're conditioned to accept in nightclubs here in Vegas.
Sure.
You know, we're conditioned to be like, you know, change the music. There's too many black people in here.
Yeah.
Or, you know, get out of hip hop.
Yeah.
And there's all these like subtle kind of, you know, statements
And we've become a little numb.
yeah,
A little numb to
we
it.
become used to it because we're used to shutting up about it. But Gen Z, it's so crystal clear to them that that's wrong. You know what I mean? And for us, we're like, holy shit, yeah, that is wrong. Like, but what do we do? How do we move on from here? And it's one of those things where you talk about Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. Anyone who's All Lives Matter should be canceled. But I feel like there's a communication, a disconnect from older generations that are seeing what's going on. It's like, are you watching the news or are you watching?
You know what? I'm going to interject real quick.
Go ahead.
The biggest difference between our generation and the younger generation and the older generation is we're all connected through online means. So like we're seeing everything happen in real time on Twitter. Okay. Like unless you're a journalist, unless you're in news, unless you're a celebrity that's older, you're online. But if you're not any of those things, you're not in tune into seeing what's happening in real time like we are. Okay. So their only means of seeing what is happening is through like NBC or Fox or CNN like that. And there was something on Twitter that actually retweeted last week where we saw the two police cars in New York where one of them ran into the crowd a little bit.
Right.
And they showed the footage from that they aired on NBC where they cut it off right before the cop did that. So they were able to control the narrative. And that's the big difference between what the older generation sees and what we do. And so that changes the conversation.
Right.
Well, recently,
I'm sorry, Nev, go ahead.
no, I was saying recently, I was talking to my sister who's a retired police officer.
Yeah.
She's in New York right now. And we was talking about the looting that was going on that recently happened out there.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, it's like all black kids. And I'm trying to tell her, no, it's not all black kids. It's like a mixture of every race. And she was like, no, it's not. It's all black kids. I'm looking at the news and I'm seeing it on the news. I'm like, yeah, you're looking at the news, but I'm looking at social media and Twitter and Instagram, and they showing what's actually happening at the moment. And she's like, so why they not showing that on the news? And I'm like, because they don't want you to see that shit. They want you to think, oh yeah, it's all black people that's starting all these riots and looting and all this shit. And I'm like, me and her was arguing, and we both had to stop because it was getting too personal.
I had to have that conversation with my mom last week, you know, because she was going buck, you know, she was seeing everything. She was like, oh, well, this is what they're saying on the news.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't agree with this and that. I'm like, no, it's more than that. It's happening. You just don't see it because, you know, she's basically doing what she's been doing forever. It's just
the old school way.
Yeah. The old school way. Just turn on the local news.
The TV and the newspapers.
Yeah.
That's what they used to. Yeah.
So it's a different time.
I just feel like there's this level of communication that needs to go out because I feel sometimes the people who say all lives matter don't realize that they're saying something wildly offensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's another thing. Yeah.
And I was talking to Momo about that, and then we were kind of talking about the tiers of like, who do we cancel? Who do we educate? And then, you know, I had a big shout to Jerome Baker in DC, and he said, you know, at this point, I don't want to educate nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like when I meet different people outside of the Asian race, you know, I mean, you know, they may think I'm Chinese. They ask me questions about, you know, Vietnamese food, and I'm Korean. And I kind of like, you know, I educate them on certain things, but I never take it offensively. Obviously, this is completely different from black people and Black Lives Matter and everything. But I'm just saying, I feel like sometimes people need that education and that patience. And Jerome was basically like, nah, like, at this point, if you're not educating yourself on what's going on, you know, that's on you. Yeah. Like, you got to know what's going on because if the world is erupting like this, you can't just like say like, nah, like, you know, I'm not going to get, you know, I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sometimes
we have access to the same Google, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes people just have a lens through their perspective and how they grew up, and it jades how they choose to educate themselves. Mm-hmm. If you look at like,
very true.
If you look at like Drew Brees, I never took him for a racist, but he was so jaded by the flag and he's in military background that he kept emphasizing that he felt like the flag was being disrespected.
Right.
And it took his teammates to educate him and help him understand that it's never about the flag.
Right.
And he retracted his statements and apologized. I don't know how heartfelt his apologetic, how heartfelt he was to apologize, but I felt like he's making effort, and it was because he was getting education from people that saw it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like basically, the one token black friend for a bunch of white people has to give a seminar to all of these motherfuckers and let them know what's going on. Is that what has to happen?
It's sad, but unfortunately, they shouldn't have to, and Jerome has every right to be pissed off about it. You know,
right.
But you're dealing with people who've never looked at themselves this way, and it's their fault. You know, it's their inability to see beyond what they already know. But there is an opportunity now that has not existed before to break through, you know? So I understand fully being like, fuck you, you need to do that work on your own. Why do I have to tell you after all this, you can't just fucking do some research and read? But there isn't a window right now. So if you are willing to, you know, enlighten your white friends who still don't get it, now's a chance to break through. Like I said, I can't say anybody should, because it's ridiculous.
The problem is a lot of us are saying that we're not willing to right now because we're fucking exhausted. You know what I mean?
Of course. You should be.
Listen, I think one of the biggest myths out there is that we have to explain white privilege to white people. I think white people are very aware of white privilege.
I don't think they are.
I don't think
Yes, they are.
No.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Not
Let me
all of
finish
them.
my
No.
point.
Go ahead.
No, my point is that the easiest way to not admit that you're benefiting from white privilege systematically and for generations is to act like you don't know about it. And that's why previous generations didn't really want to address race.
Yeah.
That's why systemic racism and abuse is going on unchecked. And that's why it's different with this generation, because Gen Z coming up, interconnected with all these other races, when they found out about what white privilege was, they were like, hold up, are you fucking kidding me? Is this shit real? This is not acceptable. And the reason they've been able to say it is because they didn't have to worry about losing, you know, generational wealth. They were all young. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They didn't have to worry about losing their status. They didn't have to worry about reinventing their American lives. They were just like, these are my homies, and this is some bullshit, and we are marching. And that's the difference. Why? And when I said Gen Z, I should have specified, I really meant white Gen Z, right? I don't want to take away anything from black Gen Z, but black Gen Z isn't any more activist than black millennials or black Gen X or black boomers. You know, black people have been at it for the longest. It's this white Gen Z that's actually doing it, I think, with a lot less ulterior motives for a photo op. You feel me?
Yeah.
And that's why I think white people are aware of white privilege, but you're not going to be accused of benefiting from it if you act like you don't know about it.
Wait, so you're gonna tell me that the Karen movement are all these Karens that are popping up on social media and videos just acting a fool? You think they're aware of white privilege? I think they're completely unaware.
Yes, they are, because they're panicking, bro. They're holding on to like this imperialism that's crumbling.
I think the Karens,
and that's why they're acting up.
Yeah.
They're acting up, and it's panic.
But don't you think that they're so brainwashed to them? Like, I was going to ask you guys about this. I think there's two perspectives on this older generation.
Yeah.
One is looking at what's going on. They're saying the world is ending. The world is ending. Like, minorities, like everyone is like putting black people on a pedestal. What the fuck is going on? And then you have this other perspective that's like, yo, the world is finally waking up.
Yeah, they're both right. The world is ending. It's their world. Their world is ending.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hence the panic, and hence why they're lashing out.
That's what we're really seeing, is we're seeing them panic. Like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Right?
And the Karens are panicking.
And the problem is that they've seen this coming for a while, and that's why they got Trump in power. Yeah. And the worst thing that Trump has been doing for 4 years is appointing all these judges. That's really the toughest thing that we're up against.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're controlling the legislative side of things and the making of laws, maybe for generations. And they put that in place as a defense mechanism.
Yep.
So that's why we got to get people to vote up and down the ballot every election. And personally, I'm not running for office, but that's one thing I want to do with everyday people for the rest of the year. is really put our focus on voter registration and like combating voter suppression efforts. Because Black Lives Matter is on the rise, and All Lives Matter is on the way out. But at the end of the day, they control so many jurisdictions and so many judges. It's still going to be really, really tough to like pass the laws, like Ross was saying earlier.
Especially because of like you said, voter suppression is a thing that still happens. I think it still was happening today. It just happened this morning. Yep.
Right. People didn't know how to use the machines because either they were too complicated or they didn't have proper instructions on them.
Right.
Another thing that got brought up that's important is that we have a white supremacist as our president right now, which is something that we haven't had before. So there isn't this like blurred line anymore. Now the top of the food chain, the main guy in charge is a white supremacist.
Yeah.
So there isn't a president coming out saying, can we find common ground? Can we work together? We're going to make these incremental changes that are going to be small and you're not going to notice. Now it's like, nah, this is our team and that's your team. And we're going to tear gas you. So these kids are waking up and realizing that's always been the mentality of the leadership president. It's always been a white supremacist power structure.
Right.
Well, how big of a
but
fight?
now it's so clear that I think it's really obvious that you're not
very blatant.
You're not just fighting cops. You're fighting the whole system now.
And a lot of people are thinking, and this may be for pure vanity, a lot of people are thinking, I might end up on the wrong side of history with this one. Like, I need to do something right now. Right. But they're going to look at me like how they look at people in Jim Crow South, how they look at people in Nazi Germany that was going along with Hitler. And so I don't care. Any reason's a good reason to mobilize. You know what I'm saying? And I also think people wanted to be outside for a little bit because they couldn't take it anymore.
There's a social
another thing. Another thing that helped the protest is people just wanted to get the fuck outside.
They want to be around other people.
Yeah.
How do you approach protesting? Because I feel like some people are approaching it like like a Runyon Canyon hike, kind of like let's go to the protest this weekend. Like let's go on Saturday. Let's make signs and let's go out there. Let's do this, guys.
They make it seem like a picnic.
Yeah, it's like a picnic, like outing at the park.
And even me myself, like I don't know, when I was growing up, like 90s and stuff like that, it was like you always had like motherfuckers who were like gung ho and who went out there and motherfuckers who were like, nah, like that's just like the, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just the woke ass motherfucker in the crew who's involved with activism.
He has to do that. That's part of his thing.
Well, there's a difference between protests and activism.
Listen, the numbers are good. The numbers are good. The numbers is why it's taking over from COVID in the news, for good or bad. I don't know if it's a good thing that people aren't really talking about COVID as much.
Is it okay for
the numbers are good?
Is it okay for motherfucker to kind of go to protest and like and hop back out and not be like
pick and choose on which one you want to do?
Like, I'm free this weekend, I'm going to protest, but I can't do it next weekend because I got a quinceañera to go to or some shit like
that. It's not cool if that's your friend. You probably want to have a talk with them or cut them or whatever. You know what I mean? But in terms of protests, you want numbers. You want that.
Right.
You want a mass.
I'm pragmatic, man. I've never seen a cause, the plight of black people, bring out so many people throughout the whole planet. I've never seen it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anyone's ever seen it.
Nah.
So let's get the numbers and then let us shape the narrative and then repackage it into action.
I'll shop. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, I'm going to say, going to these protests, I don't see a lot of people out there to take a selfie or just fair weather. People are serious about this.
A lot of people are angry, man.
They make a sign. They're out there marching. This is a real movement.
Yo, influencers like damn near disappeared from my feed, man. Shout out to my influencer friends, man. Shout out to my influencer friends. Like, I love y'all, but like, my feed has gotten so militant. It's a thing of beauty.
But they're struggling, right?
Until this challenge today or 2 days ago, which I feel kind of iffy about.
What challenge?
And I didn't want to tweet about it because I didn't want people to like just pile on me. But like somebody was like, I'm a black man. I build other black men.
Oh,
take a
yeah,
selfie.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about that a
20
little
of your
bit.
friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did they fucking bring selfies back in the protest? We had gotten rid of selfies, and within a
And it's
day,
like a big GQ picture
the
of them
feed
in a
was
suit.
I was
blanketed
just
with
saying that I
something,
would
and then
never
they
do that.
followed up- Then they followed up, I'm a black woman, and they, the ladies got involved too. And I was like, we're back at square one. You know what I'm saying? A selfie is a motherfucking selfie, and it's taken away from this protest. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
I felt weird about it. Somebody tagged me in that shit. I was like, you know what? If I do it, I was gonna take a picture and like just put a fucking backdrop and not even me, because like I felt weird about that.
I wish there had been tag a black person that inspired me.
Anything like
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
You know?
That would have
Yeah.
been
Fucking.
That's better. Yeah.
that would have been better. But like someone,
That
a
would've
black
been much
person,
better.
black
That
man,
would've been
yeah,
better.
black
And
person
then-
who inspired you, right?
Yeah.
And not only that would have been good, that would have affected all races. You know what I mean?
Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody
Asians,
could've
white,
posted it.
Latinos, could've
Everybody
posted
could have been included
Right.
in that so-called
Right.
challenge.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, everybody had their best like professional photo shoot.
Right? Exactly, man.
I was
was
like, yo,
not-
Instagram is the fucking worst, yo. Instagram is the worst.
It's funny to see people, certain influencers, struggling right now, right? To push content.
Yeah.
And like they don't know how to, I don't know, is the word like acclimate
They
to
don't know
what's
how to
going
think
on?
of anybody but themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like I wonder if it has to also do with like, the everyone is so consumed with self-promotion, they don't even know how to
Yeah.
spread awareness for a cause that
Yeah.
doesn't involve themselves in any
Right.
superficial or shallow way. Like the art of self is like everyone has just made art and creativity so self-serving.
Yeah.
Even there's designers out there, clothing designers, there's some artists who don't know how to create art for a message now because all the art was so like just so shallow and
Yeah.
self-serving. They
Yeah.
don't, and we're seeing these designers, they're trying to make BLM, designs, and it's just like, no, like you guys don't get it. Like they don't know how to move forward with this and market and promote anything besides themselves.
Yeah, well, we talked about it a little bit. It's always been about the bottom line,
Right.
And it's all been about revenue-driven things. So, like, for them to be unselfish in this moment, they probably have never had to do it. Influencers have never had to worry about, like Spider Tech said, other than themselves. Like, they haven't had to promote anything else other than them. That's what they're good at. That's why they become influencers in the first place.
And I also think there's this fake narrative of like even certain, streetwear designers, they're appealing to white kids, to rich white kids or rich Asians in other countries and continents who can afford this like high kind of like luxury fashion.
Yeah.
And it's like some of them they don't know how to even market and promote or create designs for minorities anymore or for for black kids or black people.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a
Maybe they do, but they just fear losing their white audience. Feel like alienating that part.
yeah. I feel like
I've been seeing a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's been a little bit blanketed, but you can see right through that shit.
right. I think for the longest, even me and Neva, we've kind of focused our DJ careers on high end, white nightclubs.
Yeah.
That had predominantly white patrons and customers coming in.
I've been seeing a lot of resident DJs speak up about a lot of the racist practices at these spots and calling out either the clubs or the promoters or the managers.
Yeah.
I've been seeing this shit a lot this last week.
Yeah, Audio One posted something about that. Pretty much, like, can you switch it up? We're not trying to attract that kind of crowd. Can you keep it club friendly? All these little things that
I mean, Audio One, he's been speaking up about stuff like that before, but I've never seen like actual resident DJs speak up about the shit that's happening in a lot of these spots, because a lot of them were afraid to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Because,
Exactly.
And all of it goes back to
but
money.
I've
because-
never seen that happen until now.
All of it goes back
But-
to the revenue, right? Like they think you come in looking a certain way, they're going to spend a certain amount of money, and they judge you based upon that. They see a group of 20 black guys coming into a club, they might think a certain way. They see 20 white guys coming into a club, they think a certain way. It's all relative to what revenue they're driving.
I think it also has to do with the perception of what value, of the value of what it is of the club. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
even in New York in the beginning, it was like, you know, they would say racist shit like, you know, when a club first opens, it's all white people, and then it's Jewish, and then it's black, and then it's like Latin,
And it's just
and
like
then
if
the
you're-
bottom of the totem pole is Asian. Once a club goes Asian, it's gonna close. Like the club's gonna close in like 6 months, yo. Like, cause like it was like if you're going Asian, they're like, yo, what, like you're done.
In,
You're the last
in,
call.
in LA, it's different. In LA, it's like white people, Asian, and then it's black, and then it's Latinites, and then it closes, and then they redo it again.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
wow.
sounds
That's
more.
exact-
That sounds more accurate.
No, in New York, it was like if you're the Asian, it's like the bottom, yo. Like, come
Really,
on.
I thought it was the black and the Latin was the bottom.
I remember that
Nah.
Mo. Remember Mission. Remember that club
Yeah.
Mission. It
was
literally
always-
went
was-
through that.
and then-
in the Bowery, right?
And then you forget one step of the process, which was interchangeable with Asian. It was South Asian.
Yeah.
So Indian.
Yeah.
You know, Indian and Pakistani. There was a
Middle
period
Eastern.
in the 2000s where they had their own nights, and it was like give or take. It could be either them or it could be Asian. But in either case, it was the last stand of that
That's
club.
when you know they're about to close.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I swear. Because I went to Mission and I was like, yo, y'all are all Asian right now? Like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, and I was like, damn, man, I want to spin for Asian people because I've never spun for Asian people. And they're like, crooked, we can't afford you. And I'm like, this is the most fucked up shit. Y'all came to the level of Asian and y'all can't afford an Asian DJ. I was just like, this is fucking ludicrous. And
You should have been like, I want to do it for my people. This means,
you know what I'm saying?
means a lot to me.
But then, you know, like everyone would say, like, "Yo, they're about to close, man. They got all Asians there. Like, why? Because if you're appeasing to Asian crowds in New York, I mean, where's the Asian population predominantly in New York? It's in like Flushing, Queens. It's like in Jersey.
Yeah.
So if you're pulling motherfuckers all the way from Queens and Jersey, like you're struggling. You know what I'm saying? That was the idea back then.
I
you
think
know?
like back in when I was DJing back in the 90s, it was different. It was like once you bring in like a lot of black people into your club,
Yeah.
that's when you know they're about to close soon.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, but in the early 2000s, they always gave Sundays to black people, right? They always.
We got a Sunday, yeah.
Like me.
Yo, no lie. Yo, no lie. Yo, no lie. They were just doing that shit in Denver. Like, yeah, not even
I mean,
not even
and
2
you-
years ago.
You guys know why, right? It's very simple. It's just, again, it's a practice that goes back to the local police departments.
Right.
They
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want big black parties to empty out on their Saturday night streets and mix with all the Karens and all the Chads.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Right.
Chad.
And so that was something like, yo, they would go to all the club owners and they were like, put your hip hop night on Sunday and we won't have any problems.
I never knew
Put it
that.
on Saturday,
Wow.
we're shutting you down.
I never
Yeah.
knew
I
that.
never knew that either. That's interesting.
That makes sense though.
Wow.
The stuff started coming out because one of the promoters for one of the hip hop nights that was on Sunday, they were talking about that. They started speaking out about that a couple of years ago, and they started bringing it to like City Hall and shit like that. A lot of that shit came out that a lot of people didn't know before, and this was in
Nev.
Denver, dude.
Crooked.
This feels
Y'all
crazy.
remember that club? Was it called Eugene on 24th Street?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. And the hip hop nights was just random weeknights, and they did it so they could close the road to cars, and they had police on horses
Yeah.
outside of the club to disperse the street immediately.
I remember that, yeah.
And that's nothing they could ever do on Friday night or Saturday night, because then everybody would be like, "What the fuck is going on? What's
Yeah.
with the ride police?" You know,
Yep.
so they do it on off nights.
Well,
So that's-
they kind of did that. They started doing that at on that one block off the side of Marquee where Kane, Home,
27th Street. Yeah,
27th
Down
Street.
bed.
Bed. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would. It was just so many clubs on that one block that they started shutting it off. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, that's been going on for
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah,
I
if
never knew.
it was one white club on West 27th Street, they would not need riot police, right?
Of course not. No.
No. But yeah, for Eugene's, they had that shit going. Hey, yo, so I want to go back to this conversation that I had with MoMA, and I know Ross heard some of the conversation on Twitch. And, you know, maybe, Mo, you could break it down a little bit better than I can, but we were going through the tiers, which was basically the tiers of cancellation, right? And the levels, the tiers of cancellation and levels of understanding. because I'm very against cancel culture. Even when there was like this DJ witch hunt going on, and everyone was like, you know, and Ross, you were kind of pro the DJ witch hunt. But I was against. Speak on it. I mean,
Speak your truth.
Yeah, speak
It's
on it.
it's not a witch hunt. If you fuck with Donald Trump, I don't fuck with you. That's it. Period. End
Got
of
it.
story. It's 2020. It's done. You know, like
When was that happening?
this
The
is
DJ witch hunt.
Yeah.
First of all, if you fucked with him during birtherism 2015, you were a rap. You know what I mean? Like I can see what kind of a person you are.
Yeah.
But if you fuck with him now, you can fuck off. You know? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
No, it's not cancel culture. It's
Just, I don't want to fuck with you.
you've been canceled. I just don't fuck with you at all. I think you're on the wrong side of history, and I think there's no takebacks. Also, you tell your grandkids, you explain it to your fucking nieces and nephews where you were at this point in history and why you stood where you stood, and let them judge you. Like I don't have to.
And I think that's why the dialogue is different now, because before it was, I guess, a two-party system, Democrat or Republican. And yeah, you could disagree about someone on like fiscal issues, abortion, evangelical type shit.
Yeah.
And maybe all of their kind of beliefs were rooted in white supremacy at the core, but you can still kind of get along, right? What Trump did is he drew a line in the sand, like a line in the sand of morality.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, do you stand on this side where we're promoting white supremacy, racism, homophobia, Islamophobia?
Yep.
The guy's a fucking child molester, potentially, you know, who knows what he's done to his daughter, right? But it looks sus as fuck. And then, you know, with all the Epstein stuff that just came out,
Right.
potentially, you know, a rapist, mad allegations. Like the dude is unquestionably one of the most reprehensible people on earth. So it's not even about politics anymore. It's just about like, what kind of moral code do you have?
Decency.
So with cancel decency, with cancel culture, it's not even like, I don't want to know if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever as a DJ, because that never really mattered to me. I just want to know, do you align yourself with Donald Trump and everything that he represents?
Yeah.
So wait,
Because then it's a problem for me.
Yeah.
but let's go back to 2016, okay? Let's go back to 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump was a fucking nut job back then. He was fucking crazy. It was nuts. But I still know people who I would bravely call them good people
Yeah.
who did vote for Trump on an economic level,
Yeah.
and who aligned themselves with some of, like, you know, very like highly conservative motherfuckers who align themselves with, like, you know, law and order, kind of like,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
same.
You know, I want a conservative that way. Economically, he speaks volumes. Obviously, now it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
It's actually not, because he's literally been talking the same exact way. The only thing that's different now is that now economic, that you know what I'm trying to say. I'm like tongue-tied right now.
Economically.
Like, you know, I'm tongue-tied right now. But like a lot of that, since they got their tax breaks and all of that kind of stuff, everything, the hateful rhetoric that he's been saying that since day one. None of that's changed.
Yeah.
The only thing people pay attention to was, oh, I can get this. I can get a tax break. Oh, I can make more money this way. You know, I'm voting for him. He's literally been saying the same exact thing since day one.
These are
And
people.
now
These
people
are
only wanna
businessmen.
talk about.
These are businessmen that I know that put the bottom line first. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? They've always put the bottom line first.
Right. It doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense. It's not. I'm more fiscally conservative than most liberals in my personal life.
Right.
But this whole notion of fiscal conservatism, look at the deficit. Look at the debt right now. We're going
Right.
to be trillions in debt. They don't say shit. You hear a GOP member has a word to say about it? How much money we go into debt because of that tax cut? It's all bullshit, so that they can get richer, so that the classes there's a bigger divide between the wealthy and the poor.
Exactly.
And in 2020, especially now when you're being begged to take a look at yourself and take a look at these systems that have put black people in a position that we're all out in the streets for right now. If you can't look at yourself and look at the bigger system, you're not serious about this. You're not doing the time to watch documentaries, to read, to just to ask friends, to just do the basic knowledge. And that's unacceptable right now.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 weeks, have put an exclamation point on that. It's always been unacceptable. But now, look at the world. Like you can't be like that anymore. You can't just be lazy and put it off to some excuse, fiscal conservatism. What the fuck is that? We're terrible.
Man.
Every 4 years we get that, and then every fucking 4 years a Democrat has to come in and save the economy.
Right.
Clinton had to do it. Obama had to do it. That's a false excuse for someone who's just trying to push some. It's a very selfish way of getting a tax break.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you reduce it to like the simplest level, a lot of people voted with their self-interest in 2016, and they just thought they were voting for like this orange douchebag. Like, all right, this guy's clearly a douchebag, but he's gonna cut my taxes. You know, just cut the check and let's move on.
Right.
Yep.
These same people are confronted with, I think, a much more profound moral issue 4 years later.
Right.
Right. You can't just be like, oh, this guy's a douchebag. He grabs him by the pussy. You know, he bankrupts casinos. He robs contractors or whatever. He's just a amoral dude. He's a self-proclaimed, white supremacist at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're giving people a lot of credit, man.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of revisionist history. In 2016, this guy had already put out ads to execute the Central Park Five. He had invented birtherism, essentially. He had already been sued by the federal government for not renting apartments to black people. He was a white supremacist then. His dad was arrested at a Klan rally.
I agree with you. I'm not a Trump defender.
My thing is, there's no takebacks.
Right.
But I understand the power of branding. He branded himself for about 10 years, right? With the reality TV shows and all that jazz. And the average voter is just not that discerning.
No.
I'm not saying that Trump wasn't already a white supremacist piece of shit.
Yeah.
He was probably that way since he was, in the womb.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that there are a vast number of people who did see him as some funny reality TV guy,
A lot of
like
people
our
did.
friend. But unfortunately, you got people who see him that way today, like our friend DJ Qbert, who made a fool of himself on social media.
Really?
Yeah.
This past couple of weeks by, a really weak effort at trying to disguise his love, his adoration for Trump. And I'm still trying to give the benefit of the doubt, because all I do is I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking maybe somebody hacked his profile and, maybe they kidnapped him and he's tied up in a basement somewhere, right? And some MAGA nut job is running his Twitter account.
See, I didn't see what he said about Trump. I only saw what Qbert said. He said all lives matter. And Never and I have this conversation about all lives matter all the time. Some people don't realize that all lives matter is completely offensive, and it's stepping on the fact that black lives don't matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that we talked about. Like Ross, not a lot of people are not as aware and knowledgeable about what's going on as you are. They're not. You know what I mean? If you're the first person I talk to when I think of politics, I'm like, let me check with Ross on what the fuck's going on, because even me myself, I'm not on it. You know what I mean? I'm not like MoMA. I'm not a Trump defender. But I like to think that people are always on the side of good. That even like Darth, I feel like everyone's like Darth Vader. Like there's some good in them. You know what I'm saying? Even though the dark side is taking over them and all of that shit, I still think in the end he can pick up the emperor and chuck him over the side. If I'm
MoMA's right. A lot of people's first impression of Trump was from reality TV.
Right.
Yeah. They don't know him post 2000s era.
I mean that's outside of New York.
Do you know how many people were like, "That's a businessman. I'm gonna vote for the businessman."
Yes.
Like, yo, are you kidding me? Like, he's banquet. Like, the buildings in New York aren't even Trump buildings. Like, they're like licensed to carry his name.
But
That's
remember
it.
in New York, like back in the days, like in the 80s, 90s, rappers just rapping about Trump. They was like, they loved Trump back then.
I mean, Jay-Z said he had a condo in the Trump.
Yeah.
Who song was the Black Trump? Raekwon?
Raekwon.
Yeah.
Where's Raekwon? We got to cancel Raekwon right now. Yo, no one can play the Cuban Links album ever again. Yo.
No.
We'd have to cancel all of 90s hip hop.
Exactly, man.
Yo, the black Donald
references
Trump, that was like a
everywhere.
cool thing to say. Like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm like the black
black
dude with
Donald,
money.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean?
I mean,
But not now.
that's what I'm saying is that Ross is like, I feel like Ross, sometimes you don't see it from the eyes of like the really like unaware and just like there's
Yeah,
all these
unfortunately.
lost motherfuckers in the world that honestly can benefit from your your knowledge and education if you had the patience to share some of it. You know what I mean?
It's not anything too deep. I'm not studying politics. I'm from Ohio. You know what I mean? Like, I just see what it is. He speaks for that silent majority of people who is racist around a dinner table. You know, and that they're not racist at work. They're not necessarily racist.
So we shouldn't have any level of understanding for motherfuckers who voted in 2016 for Trump who know they fucked up.
Look, yes, if you know you fucked up, that's cool. You know what I mean? I think it was highly irresponsible. Leading up to it, I went back and read a Facebook post I put like before the election, and I just broke it all down kind of like to my friends and family, because I know I have family who voted for Trump. And
did you like red flag them and they're like,
yeah, I mean, they're cut, you know? I mean,
so you cut them off.
If you're still riding for him, look, I'm not going to say like, it's not like hate. It's not like it's not like that. It's
you just don't want to associate yourself with them.
I don't need that energy in my life. You know, I don't need to sit here and try to explain, because you're never going to explain it to them.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to change them if they're still riding.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen. This won't change them.
So I have a question. Is there a difference from motherfuckers? Because me and Mo were breaking this down, right? Basically, the tiers are Trump voter, right, Mo? And then there's MAGA, and then there's All Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes like this, right?
Yeah. Break it down.
Break it down first, Mo.
There's Trump voter 2016, right?
Yeah.
And that person may have been, occupationally racist, but not outwardly racist, right? Just like, hey, I'm just voting. It's for me and my family. It's for fiscal reasons. This is the guy who's going to put money in my pocket, right? And that person, by and large, does not claim that they're a Trump voter in everyday life, because they know it's kind of taboo, right? And then you got the person who's MAGA, who's also a Trump voter, evidently. And that person identifies with every part of Trump's ethos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're equally as reprehensible as him, right?
Yeah.
And then, worse than MAGA, is All Lives Matter. Why? Because All Lives Matter is a movement whose sole purpose is to contradict a statement that says Black Lives Matter. There's no other purpose to this movement, right?
Right. It didn't exist.
All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. It only exists to counter a statement which is Black Lives Matter. So if that's your sole purpose, is to be against a statement that's not even saying Black lives are dope, Black lives, are lit. It's just saying matter.
But you know what? I feel
you
like
are a piece of shit.
Bare minimum.
You are a piece
bare
of shit.
minimum.
But I feel like a lot of
You are a
people
total
didn't
piece of
realize. A lot of people didn't realize at the time All Lives Matter that it was offensive. I felt like they didn't know any difference between Black lives and all lives.
I think people thought that wasn't like an equality type
Exactly,
of
yeah.
I ain't gonna front.
Yeah.
Like in the 90s, we were like kind of like, yo, we're all the same. Like,
Yeah.
all,
Yeah,
like,
that's what
like
I
all,
thought.
like all lives matter does sound like something that came from the 90s. Does that make sense?
That just sounds like equality for all.
Listen,
type of thing.
I give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
But now it's definitely different.
Yeah, but
I'm
now it's
giving everybody
definitely
the benefit
different.
of the doubt. But
I even had to
2016
explain to my mom. I had to explain to my mom because she didn't understand like Black Lives Matter, and she was like, "What does that mean? Shouldn't it be like all lives matter?"
Yeah, mhm.
And I was like, "No, this is what's happening." Like,
Yeah.
and then she understood. She's like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." But I feel like there's a ton of motherfuckers who don't get that
Exactly,
shit.
man. That's
you know
how
what I mean?
I feel the same way.
And their heart is in a place of good, but their brain isn't in there. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
You just kind of got to educate motherfuckers on that.
You know, I know, like everybody said, you really don't gotta educate. if in 2016 you didn't hear the frequency of Trump's dog whistle, right? Then maybe that's excusable. I don't know. But if you still can't hear it in 2020,
I totally
then
agree
you must
with
have been in a fucking cave for 4 years.
Absolutely,
And it's the
yeah.
same thing with All Lives Matter. If
Yeah.
maybe you had like some sort of like muscle reaction when you heard, they're against the cops, they're against law enforcement. My uncle's a cop.
There's subliminal
you were like,
messages.
Blue Lives Matter, and you did that in 2016 or 2017, maybe I can understand it. But if you still toeing that line in 2020, then you're on the wrong side of history, and you're
Yeah.
just a reprehensible person.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to compare this shit, but the ignorance of everything. But I always look back to like the 80s and 90s when HIV and AIDS hit. There was so much ignorance and misinformation from the majority of people, how it was spread, how it was contracted. It's a gay disease. It's a minority disease. It's like the blacks are spreading it. There's all this crazy, like, ignorant ass shit being said.
Because nobody knew exactly.
Yeah, and I just think
where it
sometimes,
came
like, I just try, like, you have to let people know what's going on. And I understand, like, like when we spoke about Jerome Baker, like, it's not my place anymore to educate fucking white people on all of this shit or non-black people on this shit. And I totally agree. And I think it's actually on the people of your own race. So, like, if there's... You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's Mexicans speaking on fucked up shit, Jamie should interject and be like, nah, this is what's going down.
Yeah.
The same
Teach
for me
people.
and whatever, you know what I mean? But I totally understand, like, black people being like, nah, like, I'm done. Like, I have to live this shit, and now I got to explain to y'all motherfuckers,
gets
like,
exhausting.
what we're fighting for and what this is all about. I completely understand that shit. So, at this point, Trump voter, MAGA, All Lives Matter...
And then below that, it's, KKK, child molester.
Of course.
Okay.
Skinheads.
Yeah, skinheads, all that shit.
So basically, that's the level of cancellation. And
and I think in the hip hop DJ community,
yes.
and by that, I mean, people who DJ to a predominantly black audience, people who DJ to black celebrities. I think we should cancel all of those motherfuckers, except potentially the guys who voted for Trump in 2016, who own clubs and who subsequently had a mea culpa, right? If they raised their hand and they said, listen, I fucked up voting for this guy in 2016. But
Who is
moving
that?
forward,
Name one.
no, the club owners.
Tell me
to him,
which one
Ross.
it is.
Talk
just
to him,
tell me
Ross.
just name one of them.
He's never going to work
It's
there
not going to
again.
happen. It's a
Tell me-
hypothetical scenario. What I'm saying is
That's
that
what
all
I'm
those-
saying. That's a
all those
hypothetical.
2016 guys who are going to still write for Trump in 2020, whether openly or privately, they're all worth being canceled in the hip hop community at large. And the hip hop community is a fucking pool party in Vegas with Tyga. I don't care if everybody in that pool is white. That's still part of the hip hop community. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's exploiting hip hop, who's exploiting black entertainment, if they're siding with Trump and Black Lives and All Lives Matter and any other derivative
Right.
of some white supremacist movement,
Yeah.
they're all worth canceling. And same with the DJs.
Vegas is a unique market too. I mean, I sympathize with the guys who live in Vegas and have to navigate those clubs and that environment because it is, like you were saying, there's some serious race issues there that go under the radar, even in the nightclubs, which is crazy because so much of it is hip hop based. And
I know. I mean, there's literally, I mean, I've heard talks about, hiring certain DJs just because they're white, and it's better to have a white face on a flyer and a billboard and a poster than it is to have, a POC or a black person, just kind of like,
Chris, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
In the past couple of years before COVID hit, right? Mm-hmm. I've checked you out in Vegas a few times.
yes.
And maybe my memory didn't serve me right, but the clubs, the attendance looked blacker than when you first moved there.
Yeah.
And, it was the height of bottle service, right?
Yes.
2005, 6, 7, the height of bottle service. I was scanning the audience looking for a black chick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I hung out with you.
2006,
last year-
2007. Yeah.
And I hung out with you last year. I was like, yo, this is dope.
One of us popping with
it's
them.
and it was like all hip hop music all night.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened to the EDM? Mm-hmm. Is that why they're more pushing the white DJs now? Because before I don't think it was an issue because the crowd was like white. You know what I'm saying? So they were just booking whomever was like the most talented. But now maybe they're trying to like counter the blackness of the audience.
I think this goes back to when Jay-Z had the 40/40 Club. And the 40/40 Club in New York, which is his sports bar, right?
Yeah.
This was when the Palazzo was going to open, and the Palazzo is connected to the Venetian. So the Venetian was building a second tower called the Palazzo. Tao nightclub is in the Venetian.
Yeah.
And 4040 Club signed a contract with Palazzo to be to be in the 4040 Club was going to be in the Palazzo.
Right.
As they got closer to the Palazzo opening, some executives realized like, hey, this is like a black sports bar. This is owned by Jay-Z. Every black person that comes to Vegas is going to come to this sports bar.
Yeah.
And if everyone's going to come to this sports bar and it's going to be predominantly black people and people of color, that means a lot of our guests are going to be black and people of color. So does that hurt us business-wise? Does that deter some of the other, vacationers and customers that come here?
Right.
And ultimately, they gave it to, who's that chef? The Bam guy? Bam!
Emerald.
Emerald, yeah.
Emerald
yeah.
Lagasse.
Yeah, Emerald Lagasse.
yeah.
They changed the 4040 Club and they gave it to Emerald Lagasse.
It was called like Lagasse Stadium or
Yeah,
something.
Lagasse Stadium.
Yeah.
But Jay-Z still
Yeah.
got it. But Jay-Z still got the check. He basically, I think, they basically licensed Lagasse's name to the venue, but it was Jay-Z still getting all the profits. I don't know how it worked out.
Yeah.
But I know that Jay-Z was still getting money from that. But I still think there's this fear of like, I think there's this fear of black money, just to be honest, of bringing in black patrons, people of color, and having them dominate, certain hotels. And then the hotels get named, oh, I'm not staying there. That's a black hotel. Mm-hmm. I'm not staying there because that's, there's all these minorities that stay there. And then I think there's the assumption that minorities, devalue property. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if we see like neighborhoods in America, it goes like when a black person moves into a white neighborhood, what do they do? They
Bring the property value down.
they say it brings the property value down, right? And then everyone tries to move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it's the same thing here, and I think that's where it stems from. If that makes any sense. Okay, no comment. All right, cool.
I mean, that's true.
you hit the nail on the
yeah.
head, man. It's
I just think you were preaching.
You dropped the mic. What do you want me to do? You
I
preach
mean,
like
what the
that,
fuck
bro.
can I say after that, bro?
So I want to kind of steer the conversation towards Twitch. We've been talking about Twitch for as a new platform for live streaming.
Yeah.
And I got Audio One here from San Francisco. Audio One, thank you for joining us, man. What's good, fam?
What's good, man?
What's up, man?
We have, I don't know. I guess Ross, you've been streaming a little bit. MoMA, you haven't been streaming at all. You're pretty anti-streaming right now for yourself.
I'm not anti-streaming. Streaming is anti-me. I'm in South Africa with like no equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to
You can only use that excuse for so long because when you're in the US, you can't. What's going to be your new excuse for not streaming?
I'm gonna be like, yo, my turntables are in storage.
Spider Tech, have you been streaming at all or what?
Yeah.
I've been streaming here and there.
Yeah.
I've been doing stuff with like slow roast and other things.
I've been
like
seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serato,
Yeah,
Serato, just
Yeah.
humble brag.
humble brag, just to say a few.
You can flex, Spider. If you want to flex a little bit, you can flex a little bit.
That's not like me.
And
His
then-
nickname is Flexaroni.
Flexaroni.
So Audio One, we've been talking about Twitch. There's all of these articles getting retweeted. Everyone's on Instagram talking about Twitch, saying it's about to be another shutdown like IG Live. It's basically game is over, grand opening, grand closing. Twitch is done.
It lasted 3 weeks.
The copyright infringement police have come. They're coming after Twitch users.
Pause.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where are we standing? Because I know you've been talking with Twitch. You've been one of the first motherfuckers on Twitch. I want to know what's going on. I have some information about it, but I want you to, to educate us a little bit on what's going on.
Okay. So basically, long story short, over the weekend, news came out that Universal Music Group renegotiated their contract with Amazon Music, and Amazon owns Twitch. And one of the stipulations under that new renegotiation is that Twitch is going to have to come down harder on the DMCA copyright notifications, which is crazy because a lot of streamers, this really doesn't affect DJ so much as it does gamers, because they've been running the platform for years.
Right.
A lot of streamers use background music. They use Spotify or whatever. And kind of crazy, like about a month or two ago, a lot of Twitch streamers were telling me that they were doing like a beta program or like a beta testing for some type of embedded Twitch player that was like embedded with Spotify. And I guess I don't know if they were going to roll it out or not, but apparently they started running the DMCA on a lot of channels. And apparently it was scooping up videos and video playbacks from the last 1 to 3 years.
What's DMCA? What's DMCA? What is that?
DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Okay.
So that's what they're using. That's what they're using as the way that they're going to come after.
What is that? Like some Matrix shit? Like what is that?
No, it's just the digital.
It sounds
the
like
Digital Copyright Act. It just governs copyright on digital platforms.
I don't know. I'm trying to think visually. What is that?
So it's like an ASCAP
Yeah.
for the new version
No,
of ASCAP.
it's just a law. It's just a law.
Okay.
Right.
I'm just visually thinking like they released the Sentinels out. You know what I mean? The DMCA. No? Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So for DJs, it isn't such a problem, especially because most of us have only been streaming on the platform maybe 1-2 months at most. But gamers and others.
But DJs are like 1%, right? We're less than 1%.
We're less than 1%
of the population.
We ain't shit. Like no one's trying to come for DJs on Twitch right now. We're like the lowest common denominator.
Right. But you could imagine these gamers that have clips going back 1 to 3 years. I mean, one of the people that made the most noise about getting these notices was a gamer. She has 298,000 followers on her Twitch.
God damn.
So for her, it's going to be hard for her to go back and remove these, video replays, because that's a lot of content. And the thing about Twitch is that, one, you can post content that you created, but then your fans that are watching live, they have a feature called clips where you can actually like clip a segment of something that's happening live and repost it. And that's where a lot of people are getting hammered right now, because a lot of times those happen to have copyrighted music on them.
Right.
So it was never really about DJs, but then a few DJs went out there and, they kind of raised some hell about it. And, but how it is.
So Audio One, do you think DJs are the one who brought attention to this thing, which in turn is fucking up the gamers who had a smooth ride until that point?
Yeah, the reality is, speaking to a lot of Twitchers that have been on for years, they feel that when the club DJs and just the regular DJs were on the platform, like just the I guess you could call it small timers in a sense.
Yeah,
they weren't really tripping because there was only so many of us. But the moment they started seeing like Insomniac and Jazzy Jeff, Z Trip, like the bigger names, then it sort of became worrisome to them, because they're like, a lot of the DJs that have been on the platform for years, they're like, yo, we just kind of been coasting. Gamers have been coasting. And then all of a sudden there's all this like spotlight on it. And come to find out that this company, Grace Note, was hired by Universal Music Group and Warner to keep an eye out on Twitch. And it just so happens that right now we've been under a quarantine. Everybody's streaming. Everyone's using copyrighted content. And it's kind of become the issue.
Well, I have a question. I play video games and stuff like that. I play 2K, Madden, all these good games, and they all kind of have, they have a hip hop kind of soundtrack in the back of it. So how would Twitch know if you're playing a video game that already has paid copyright music, or if you're DJing? You're playing games like DJ Hero or a Rock Band or a fucking Guitar Hero, whatever the fuck. Those are games with music already. So how is one going to detect if you're playing a regular video game or someone's DJing?
That's a great question, Jamie.
Wow,
That's a great question, Jamie.
Jamie.
I gotta clap for that question.
Hey, I come out the trenches sometimes, boys.
Jamie has redeemed himself.
Yeah, finally.
It took 3
It
years.
took 3 years. 3 years. Mama, we made it.
That is actually a very good question, and actually that is something that a lot of people have been asking, a lot of the gamers, especially the big question was games like GTA.
Yeah, that's
that
a perfect
come
example.
with with all copyrighted music that should have been covered by the creator of the video game. But then it becomes a question of if they're covered on that end, but I believe that they're not covered on somebody playing it and streaming it on the platform. So right now, Twitch is sort of, from what I've been told and the people that I know at Twitch, it's just been a lot of havoc, a lot of meetings. They're just trying to mitigate the situation right now, and they're trying to come up with a solution. And I believe they're trying to work on a very similar licensing deal to what Mixcloud Live has right now. But the thing is, right now we're talking about it. This situation is so fluid that I believe by the time this comes out, the info is going to be outdated. So every single day there's something different.
Wait, don't ever talk about the podcast like that, all right? We are relevant.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
So,
but
Audio, do you think
it's definitely interesting because you have a lot of people that think it's a wrap, but then you have the new guy, Tracy Chan, the guy who's running the music department and Twitch. He's basically telling people, don't even worry about it. It's all good. And Neely is saying it's all good right now, man. Let us just get through these legal things and we'll come up with a plan that works for everybody. But right now there's just no clarity on their end. And I can see how Mixcloud could take advantage of the situation because they already have a licensing deal in place.
So, but right now they said from what I was reading that they're really only going after the videos after the broadcast, not the live broadcast.
Right. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Is that why they're taking down a lot of DJs taking down their videos after they posted on Twitch?
The saved videos. The videos that are saved.
And then just getting rid of it.
So I think some of the misinformation that's been going on is that it's going to be like Instagram Live where they're just going to cut your live stream. And they're not going to
cutting you off.
DJs, they are not going to interrupt your live stream on Twitch. They are not going to fuck with your live stream. This doesn't affect your live stream at all. All this affects is the video when you save it. So when you're done with streaming, Twitch gives you the option to save and post the video, right?
And download the video.
And that's the only thing that's subjugated to this DMCA or whatever the fuck you call it, to the Sentinels attacking you.
Exactly.
And what we're waiting for is Neo to come over here and just
take the right pill.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Are you getting him on the show?
Who, Neo?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Is there Neo? I know there's a Matrix 4 coming out.
I know, next year. I push
So there's good.
So the best bet for DJs is basically go live, download your video, and then cut it up, chop it up, and make your own highlight video and put it up on your other social media.
Yeah.
And push it like that.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do.
The main thing is under your settings inside of Twitch, uncheck the past broadcasts, disable clips. So like when people are watching, they are unable to actually clip with your, because that's how a lot of people are getting caught up. Even I noticed it on my channel a few days ago. There was like 40 clips. 40 different people had clipped different portions of when I was playing live. Like if there was a moment they were filling, there's that clip button and it highlights 30 seconds to a minute. And I didn't realize that. I'm like, oh shit, delete. It's like, I don't need them coming after me for that. So.
You got to stop killing it so hard, my guy. I don't know what you're doing. Start playing some whack shit.
So what I also heard was that if you reach the tier of partner, because there's these different tiers, right? You can be an affiliate
and partner.
You can earn to be. You can be affiliate. You can be a partner. Basically, it depends on how many days you stream, how many hours you stream, how many followers
sounds like
you
Scientology,
have.
yo.
Yeah. So let me break this down. So if you join Twitch, you want to reach affiliate, right? Which is basically like a sergeant. So you want to have like 50 followers. You got to stream 7 days in a month. You have to have at least 8 hours of streaming done in that 1 month and an average of 3 viewers. So if you can't reach affiliate, you're a fucking crumb ass motherfucker, basically. Now, if you want to reach partner, you have to hit 12 days in that month. You have to do 25 hours in that month, and you got to average 75 viewers. But Twitch still has to approve you for being a partner. I'm not sure how that works, right?
Is that correct? Yeah.
So
they have to approve it.
So once you reach partner or affiliate, and you have subscribers, and you allow only subscribers to watch the videos, the saved videos, those aren't subjugated for takedowns. That's what I heard.
Right.
So if
that's
you
what I
have
did.
subscribers and you have saved videos, you're safe. If only your
Right.
subscribers can view the videos.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of that misinformation going around. I don't think this platform is dead. I've actually been seeing.
Watching
Momo,
that.
why are you laughing?
Because this shit sounds like a Scientology OnlyFans.
Yo,
Oh my god.
you're gonna get. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get. I think Momo should get on Twitch. What do you think about it?
Yo, I would kill it on
Momo would,
Twitch.
Momo would crush it.
Murder it. Like I would have thousands of viewers.
Momo,
There's
you would
there's
crush
nobody
it,
doing
bro.
what I do on Twitch, you know?
That, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll see.
But yo,
Yeah.
but yo,
hoping-
can you tell me, because I know certain DJs who have been going on Twitch and they're making bank. They're telling me they're even making more per stream than they did headlining in clubs.
That's not happening. That's not happening with me.
That's that you're not getting that. Some of them are making bank like that though.
No, I mean, like in the first month that I was on,
Yeah,
I probably made a quarter of what I would normally make in a month,
that's not bad.
Still something.
which is
How-
not
how do
which
you
is
get
not
paid?
bad. You could set up your bank account or PayPal.
So it's tips. It's donations.
No.
No. It's
Subscriptions?
Like right now, I'm a partner. So at partner level, it's Twitch gets 50%, you get the rest. So
And,
And,
what,
and then you set the price for your subscription, like OnlyFans?
that's actually a good question. I don't know, man. I believe you can. I know it starts at $4.99 for the tier 1, $9.99 for the second tier, and $21.99 for VIP, whatever. But I'm not at that level. Right now it's more like for me. It's more like let people enjoy the show, and if they enjoy the vibes, they can hit subscribe and they get the emotes and things like that. And
I know. I have a
I think
question.
I'm gonna start a Twitch. I'm gonna start a Twitch and an OnlyFans and give them both the same show. It's like one stream and get subscriptions from both sides.
All right. I have a question regarding Twitch. To subscribe, I'm still learning this. You pay once a month, or is this like a one-time payment?
No, you pay once a month, and that's through like whatever payment you select. So for me, like when I subscribe to people's channels, I use my PayPal, and I have it set to on certain channels. I have it set to automatic. I'm just gonna automatically renew at the 30-day mark.
So say if I'm subscribed to like 10 DJs, you paying like $50 a month.
yeah,
Damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
That's wild.
it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You better be entertaining, motherfuckers.
I know, right? I'm about to get my money's worth.
Yeah,
Shit.
people gonna start cutting them subscriptions if you ain't doing some
Word
wild
up,
ass
man.
shit. You know what I mean?
Yo, Audio
Yeah, I
One,
mean,
can you break down the difference between affiliate and partner, because a lot of people are confused over that?
The main difference I see is that with affiliate, you're basically splitting the money half and half. And when you reach partner, which is a higher tier, and that's a tier that like Scene and Vice and those guys, HMC boys, they're all on that level.
Yeah.
When you get to that level, it's a 60 to 75% that you're earning versus earning 50%. And whatever, they also have these incentives apparently where when you become a partner, they could offer sponsorships through corporate brands and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes when you log on, you see these gamers and it's a bounty commercial. Like
Yeah.
when you reach a certain level, they're trying to monetize you on a higher level. Of course, they get a part of the the bread.
Almost like YouTube, basically, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like I'm steady working my way up. I mean, it says you need to average to 75. I'm at 66 out of 75 viewers. So little by little, it's
You're almost
climbing.
there.
You know what I'm saying?
You're almost
But the
there,
thing
brother.
is-
This is a pimp game, yo. This is crazy.
Audio One, when do you get to see the High Priestess? At what level?
When you become cleared.
But you could get subscriptions at affiliate, right? Like at $4.99 or what's?
Yeah, but you're only getting
Yes.
half at that point. You
Ah,
know what I'm saying?
okay,
But if
cool.
you reach partner, you're getting 75% of it.
Right.
Are they
But
taking?
on top-
Are they taking a
but-
portion of your tips? Because
No,
you can't get
the-
tips.
The Venmo, PayPal, all that stuff, they don't get any cut of the.
No,
actual
but what
stuff.
about the tokens and all of that shit?
Well, that's
When
the
motherfuckers-
Oh yeah,
subscription.
so you get on Twitch, it's the bits that people, the donations that you get through bits, the subscriptions that people do, and then also people give away subscriptions too.
Yeah.
Like you've noticed it in different channels. Like when HMC boys are on, like 5 will get on there and he'll give away 25. You know what I'm saying? Like you get a portion of that too. So that's all crazy. Of that combined is what you get every month. But on top of that, you could also have your PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and that's completely separate that Twitch doesn't touch at all.
But the bits, they take some of your bits. Bits is basically 1 cent. So when someone sends you 50,000 bits, you know, they're sending you like $500, right?
Yeah, they will get $250. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so they'll get 50% of that.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a
Yeah,
that is some pimp shit, Mo. That is some pimp shit, Mo.
It is pimp shit, but the reality is, like, I didn't have to front any of the money for the platform, for the bandwidth, or anything. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You know what I mean? It's sort of give and take. You know what I'm saying?
But I have to buy these fucking webcams and all of this shit go around here. I have to do all of this
Look
shit.
at this whole setup.
It's a tax write-off for your business, man.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Okay.
No, but you're right. All right, cool. So we got some things cleared up about Twitch, right?
yeah.
Basically.
I'm
No, it's funny.
Very informative. Thank you very much.
You know what? I'm on Twitch and I don't even know half that shit. That's just wild.
That's what we have Audio One here, the spokesman.
Yeah. Ross, you recently joined. When are we going to see something?
I haven't done any streaming or anything like that. I just set up an account.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to.
Yeah, I've been kind of chilling on doing live streams. You know, we were doing Home Friends for a while, and just with everything going on, it just feels like it's a good time to take a little break. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, same.
reassess things, and you know.
That's actually a good point, Ross. Did the protests come right at the time that Instagram shut down DJs? I haven't really kept up on what's going on Instagram with DJs. Are they still streaming?
Most are out of Instagram by now.
I mean,
Most
D Nice is still there.
D-Nice.
D Nice is there.
It's all too nice now.
D-Nice is grandfathered. Yeah,
Nice is getting cut off.
Yeah.
D Nice is there. Yeah.
But is anybody else like?
Yeah.
Is
This-
MOS?
He's doing
Yeah,
both.
MOS, I saw MOS on there last
He's doing
night.
Twitch
I
and
still
IG.
see DJs on there sometimes.
A lot of people are doing both.
Yeah.
And also I'm seeing a lot of the older DJs are still on Instagram Live. I don't think they've grasped
Fucking
what
Cool Herc is on IG now.
Yeah. Yeah. Big shout to Cool Herc.
DJ Cool Herc.
But they don't have to like DJ twice, right? Can you stream the same set to
Yeah.
both?
So a lot of people are having like an iPhone setup with a tripod, and then they have their webcam for the Twitch.
Yeah.
So they're streaming
Simultaneously.
two things at once. Yeah. So if you wanted to do your OnlyFans and Twitch simultaneously, you're gold. I can help you with that
Moma's
setup.
ready.
I can help.
Moment
ready,
thinking about
man.
it, he's like, damn, man.
Yeah, just
I
taking
can't wait to get back to the
just
States.
take an article of clothing out. You know.
Yo, my OnlyFans subscribers are gonna be so disappointed. They'll be like, oh, it's just like it's Instagram, man.
I don't know. Maybe you can just point the camera at your feet, you know, while you're DJing, and you might get some bank over there.
Oh my
The
god.
foot cam.
I heard the foot. I heard the
toe
foot fetish.
fetish.
shit.
The foot fetish is out here.
That's a big deal.
I heard the foot fetish thing is out
That's a
there.
big
man.
thing,
Yeah.
It's a big market these days.
Sure.
Jamie knows all about that.
Oh, whoa, easy. Allegedly.
Look at Ross's face right now. He's like, what makes are we in right now?
I was just thinking about Afro feats.
There's a concept.
That's good.
Afro
No,
feet.
it's crazy, man. There's still, believe it or not, even with everything happening, there's still room to grow, and you know, there's a lot of uncharted territory. Believe it or not, man. You know, like, I mean, it seems like R&B and classic R&B and hip hop are like the big takeaway right now. You know, everyone's revisiting all the classic music. You don't see so many channels streaming newer music because it really isn't the time for that. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many different areas. Like, I don't really see anybody doing Afrobeat or world music. I was talking to Jamie because Jamie, he used to get on his Instagram and do like the drunk Mexican set. Like, there's none of that on Twitch at all.
Yeah.
You know, there's just this uncharted territory. There's barely anyone doing rare breaks or rare grooves or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Are there any Asians playing hip hop and R&B?
Yeah, so Super Saiyan.
Actually, no, that I've seen it.
Yeah.
Like Harlem in Japan, they
Yeah.
have a Twitch.
No, I'm
channel.
just saying. I feel like that's a flooded market. Seeing Asian DJs playing hip hop, like of course you're gonna see Asian DJs playing hip hop
that's
and
what you
R&B.
meant, sorry.
That's definitely an oversaturated market right now.
Yeah, man. But it's definitely been a good, like for me, man, and for a lot of DJs, it's been good being able to revisit music without any restrictions. You know what I'm saying? Even last night, I was a guest on Motown on Mondays, and that was just fun, just flexing.
Yeah, that shit was dope.
The classic cuts, man. You know, just
I missed your set, and I was meaning to do it, and then I fucking got
It
caught
was
up with
dope.
work. Yeah.
It was dope.
That was fun, man.
I do
You know,
think like the streaming DJs have a real advantage is that the next time I DJ, which may be next year, I'm gonna be so rusty. Meanwhile, Audio One, you ran through all your crates. You know, you got refamiliarized with Motown, with classics. Everybody knows how to play the new shit. You know, no one gets a cookie for that. But really, what sets DJs apart is how they're able to like introduce other sounds in a commercial set.
Right.
And I think the DJs that have been streaming nonstop, like it's almost like they went to the gym every day. You know, while some of us like fucking laying with their leg in a cast in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
No,
it's,
calf
you know,
muscle gone.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are not that they're against it, but like I don't force people because I know a lot of DJs are like, you gotta get on. Like you can't force people. Like you gotta be comfortable with it because there's a lot to it. I mean, for a lot of us, it's weird to DJ in a room with nobody watching you. We're so used to having hundreds of people in front of us and playing off a vibe. Here you're just looking at a webcam, you know what I'm saying? And like for me, like I have to tell myself, just imagine there's 500 people here, like what vibe would you go with, you know what I'm saying? But also the interaction with the chat room, the people that are in there. Like for me, I was never an MC. I never MC'd in my life. Like I've learned how to MC while doing this. So it was for me, it was like, yo, let me pick up this mic and learn how to use it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Pause.
Wait.
I got you, my guy.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Okay, you're good at mic work now. You've stepped up your mic work. I get it.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
We get it.
Yo, guys, I'm gonna cut this off because it's just too much of a good thing. So we're gonna end this early.
You can never have too much of a good thing.
But yo, man, Audio One, thank you for coming through.
Appreciate it.
Spider Tech, Ross One, MoMA, thank you for coming through. MoMA, hopefully I'll see you on the West Coast very soon, right? You'll be coming to LA.
Inshallah.
Allegedly.
Yes, sir. And guys, thank you again. And,
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yo,
Yeah, man.
everyone, be safe and take care, man. Much love. All right, guys.
Peace, man.
fellas.
Peace.
Thank you.
Peace.
And before you guys log off, Jamie, do you want to end this?
If you want to watch this video alongside all our brand new videos that get released on Friday, youtube.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, you hit the notification bell to be the first to get the video.
And before we end this episode, I actually wanted to give a big shout out to everyone who checked us out on Twitch this past Sunday. That shit was mad fun. We got a little wrecked a little bit, but big shout to actually our intern Christian DJ 10 Oreos. If you want to go follow him on Instagram, it's 10 Oreos. We had him jump on and do a quick set on our Twitch this past Sunday, and he fucking killed it, man. He fucking murdered it, 21 years young. And we definitely gonna have him come through and do another set. But come check us out this Thursday, which would be tomorrow night. I think we're gonna do another Twitch this Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Thursday and Sunday, and I think we actually might hop on. I think the fellas might do some individual DJ sets on Friday and Saturday. I think that might be during the day though. It might be around 12 p.m. Pacific, But as far as Road TV, as far as like kind of the mix podcast thing we've been doing, which is like a mix show podcast thing, I think we're gonna do this Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to come check us, go to Twitch TV /R.O.A.D podcast. We'll probably announce it the morning of or whatever. And come check us, man. And big shout to DJ City, man. We out. Peace.